Night at the Gates of Hell is a very unique game that stands out in the oversaturated zombie genre. From its unique color palette to its satisfying gameplay, today I will be talking about Night at the Gates of Hell. Before I start this video, I want to sincerely thank Puppet Combo for hooking me up with a copy of the game to review. Thank you. Now, let's get back to the video. The story in this game is nothing special and can be seen in most old zombie movies. It's the typical cliche where the main character is caught in a zombie outbreak and tries to escape the city during the late 80s. The game also focuses more on the gameplay aspect instead of the story, like some other Puppet Combo games. Most of the game is spent playing as a guy named David. He's a very regular dude that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The game has many different levels in which you travel around the city, even a bit out of it, explore, scavenge, and try to solve how everything started. The game starts with you playing as a man named Liam. He has been invited to have sexy time with a woman in the back of a very creepy church. Before he can start having fun with her, she says that you have to have a condom before you can start anything. You have the genius idea to check your car if you have any left. You find one last one. You come back to the woman, raise her, but find her being ravaged on by zombies. You haul ass back to the car, but you are surrounded by zombies. The only way left is up to the church. You enter the church and after a bit of looting and puzzle solving, find the key and enter a back door. As you enter the long and eerie corridors, a zombie nun jumps out behind a corner and the game fades to black. You are now playing as David, who is stuck in his apartment building while the city outside is overrun by zombies. You start searching the building with your trusty revolver, going into each apartment room while avoiding the zombies. You loot all of the rooms, collect ammo and knives, and escape through an elevator. You heard on the news that the coast is a safe place to go, so that's where you set your sights. You arrive at the village near the coast and hear and see a bunch of zombies surrounding a single small hut. You kill the zombies and enter the hut. Inside the hut, you meet Skeeter, the captain, Belinda, Charles, and the man himself, Stan. Skeeter is a war vet whose wife passed away, so now he has no more purpose in life. The captain is a pretty regular looking guy that's, well, a captain. Belinda and Charles are a mother and son combo. Belinda seems like a very nice person, but Charles, well, let's just say his looks deceive him. It doesn't help convince anyone that he's not a grown-up when he talks about his mother's boobies as his property.
Stop staring at my mommy's big incredible boobies. I'm her little boy, not you. I'm her little cuddle bug, her little man, a cutie patootie. That's right, just a normal kid.
And the best character out of the roster, Stan. Stan was here on vacation when everything went to shit. He doesn't seem like much, but by the end of the game, you will be loving him. By the way, if you seem to recognize him, it's because he was a character in Puppet Combo's Bloodwash. The universes and timelines with Bloodwash are, surprisingly, connected. The captain asks you to go out into the city and find 3 parts needed for the boat to get working. One of the parts is, of course, a fuse. Why do all survival horror games make you find a fuse or a spark plug? Make us find an alternator or distributor. Literally anything except a fucking fuse or spark plug. Anyways, you go out into the city slinging lead and searching everything and everywhere to find those parts. You come back to the shack after finding all of those parts and finding a neat shotgun. The captain fixes the boat and everyone sails off. The group is now in a very unsettling body of water. The sky is bright green and there seems to be ominous sounds of some sort of creature. While you're on the boat, the captain drops a bomb that he isn't actually a captain at all and that he doesn't know anything about what is he doing. Everyone is understandably mad at him, and while everyone is screaming at him, a huge mutant zombie shark jumps out of the water and chomps Belinda in half in front of her son. You fight the shark by waiting for it to start swimming toward the ship and shooting it. You notice that the boat has suffered a lot of damage and that it has started sinking. You grab a life raft and everyone hops on board except Stan. He wants to attract the shark's attention so everyone can escape safely. As the group rows away, the boat fully submerges and Stan is killed. Rest in peace, you will not be forgotten. The group float to an island. Everybody's spirits are down as they not only lost the ship but also lost Stan and Belinda. The person who's the most distraught is Charles. Losing a mother is hard for everyone, even a grown-up man with a baby fetish. You go out into the forest and start exploring. You find tidbits of information about how the outbreak started before you are knocked out by a zombie waiting outside of a house you were in. Hours later, you wake up in a prison cell next to the captain who tells you that you and everyone else has been captured. You escape from your prison cell and search the very futuristic and heavily monitored facility that is being guarded by zombies with shotguns. You search the whole place, gather more information about the apocalypse, and rescue Skeeter, the captain, Charles, and a random naked guy that was a prisoner. You look for more clues and find the very random room made of flesh where you are attacked by a monster that looks exactly like Bob from Monsters vs. Aliens. You defeat the monster and continue on. This fight was really out of place and I didn't understand why was it there. It served absolutely no purpose to the plot except for more action. You reach the area and find Father Friedstein sitting on a sofa next to a portal. Before Father Friedstein sets himself on fire, he reveals that he is responsible for the apocalypse and that there is nothing David can do to stop it because the gates are opened all around the world. You take the book from his hands, a book that will tell us how to close all of these gates, escape the facility, and meet up with the other survivors. The final level starts and the crew appears to be at a church. The crew arm themselves with guns and prepare for a final stand against waves of zombies. A really fucked up part was when you were searching for guns in the church, and when you find one, you give one to Charles, but he just straight shoots himself in the head. It was a really shocking but somewhat expected move. Slowly, every single survivor is killed off, leaving only you. You enter the church and get ready to give it all you got as you're trapped and have nowhere to go. Right as you are about to be overrun, a portal behind you opens and motherfucking Stan comes out with a motherfucking machine gun. Woo! That's why I said you will love him by the end. Stan helps you clean up the zombies and you enter the portal Stan came through. You teleport to a place that looks like hell. Stan asks you if you could read that book and find some useful information about getting back home because where they are looks nothing like Kansas. As the camera pans over to the very big castle, a large skull appears and looks down at you. That's the story. Well, at least for the main story. After you finish the main story, you unlock 2 extra short game modes / stories. One is called the Booty Creek Cheek Freak. Yeah, I know, sounds very interesting. It's a separate story and follows 2 guys that go on a friendly camping trip to the woods. By the way, these guys have huge dumpies. Basically, an old man appears and says that they are in danger and should leave because of the legend of the Booty Creek Cheek Freak. Many years ago, one trucker went to use the old bathroom establishment and got stuck on the toilet because of his huge bodacious buns. Due to the isolation, the man went insane and died of starvation, and according to the legend, if someone takes a dump on the floor, in the same bathroom the man died, the cheek freak will appear and will rip his victim's cheeks. The man laughed it off, but later in the night, you have to go to the bathroom to shit. You go to the same bathroom that trucker died in, and even with the old man's multiple warnings to not shit on the floor, you still manage to. The cheek freak comes, kills your friend and kidnaps you. I am not joking. This is an actual game. It's basically a separate game from Night at the Gates of Hell, but I still wanted to mention this fever dream of a game. The other game is called Evil in the House of Dr. Fleishenstein. It's a wave-based shooter where you are stuck in the house of Dr. Fleishenstein and have to go through as many zombies as you can before dying. It's a Call of Duty Zombies reskin, but it's still very fun. It also has an Easter egg that you can complete to get the true ending. Overall, the main story's gameplay is good for a zombie game. Not too complicated, but also not too boring to follow. Now, let's move to the gameplay. The gameplay is very straightforward. It's an FPS zombie shooter. You spend most of the game shooting, while the other part is you scavenging for ammo and other parts, while also solving puzzles. None of the puzzles were hard, but that's good for a shooter. You don't want to spend hours on puzzles. You probably bought the game to shoot some fuckers. If that's the case, you will not be disappointed. At the beginning of the game, you only have a revolver and a knife. Knives are a way for you to get out of a zombie's grasp. If a zombie catches you, he will latch onto you, and if you have a knife, you can escape it. And if you don't, you will die instantly. Later on, you will find a shotgun. I could have liked to have more weapons to work with to mix up the gameplay more. You can only kill zombies by shooting them in the head. Shooting them in the body will not do anything. Walking Dead style. Another quirk in this game is that when you are aiming, you cannot move. This makes everything 100 times scarier and harder, as you cannot afford to miss your shots when the zombies start going at you. It teaches you to be calm under stressful situations. I also noticed that you have to be fairly close to the zombie to hit a headshot. If you're a certain distance away, even if you're aiming at the zombie's head and it's not moving, you will still miss. It encourages you to go up close and risk everything, which I like. The gunplay is also really satisfactory. Hitting a headshot with a revolver gives you a warm, tingling feeling, but when you miss a shot, you want to cry. The ammo is limited, so you can't afford running around hip firing everything in sight. You actually have to try in this game. I also appreciate the small details they put in the game, like the reload animation and the number of bullets left inside. You actually put in how many bullets you need to fill the chamber up. If you have 1 bullet left, you will see your character put in 5 bullets. It's a nice detail that shows the quality and love put into the game. You can't rush through this game. The game is made so that you are always looking behind you, checking corners, and waiting for something to surprise you. Things like standing still while aiming and not being able to run make it very hard for you to breeze through the levels. You really have to take it slow. By the way, a quick tip, going forward is slightly faster than going backward, so the next time you are running away from a zombie while reloading, run straight and don't look back at him. Alright, now that I've said everything positive about this game, I want to mention the biggest issue with this game: the jump scares. There are way too many screamer jump scares. Not even normal jump scares, but jump scares that use a sound so loud that it could break the sound barrier. They make the game way scarier, sure, but there are just too many of them. In the very first level, there are 4 screamers. The game could have been better if they relied on the environment to scare the player and not loud sounds and pop-ups. A perfect example of the game using the environment to scare you was in the apartment level. You had to turn off the apartment's power so that you can open a certain door. You know that once you turn off the power, you will be vulnerable, as you can't see much past your flimsy flashlight. There were no jump scares, just the darkness and the idea that something is going to chase after you. I also want to briefly mention the characters. All of the characters are really interesting and have their inner conflicts. They actually add something to the story and you sort of care about them. That's all for the gameplay part, so now let's move to the environment. The game is meant to be unusual. When you start playing the game, you will instantly notice the very bizarre color scheme of bright neon colors like pink and green. The game was inspired by Italian zombie flicks from Lucio Fulci and Bruno Mattei. It makes the game feel more uneasy as everything feels almost like a dream. I also want to briefly mention the sound design. I don't know if this was done intentionally, but I had shit my pants multiple times due to the very weird zombie sounds. Sometimes after you shoot and kill a zombie, he will start making groaning noises, which makes you think that there are more zombies coming, but there never are. I noticed that the game is very claustrophobic. Most of the time, you are walking through and fighting in tight corridors with no escape. Not only does it add to the difficulty of the game because you can get trapped very easily, but also risk you being jump scared by something coming out from a corner. Night at the Gates of Hell is a very unusual but unique game that does something different from the very boring and typical zombie games of today's age. Thank you for watching today's video.